I was asked to take up some leadership for what was being called DEI, maybe with IR, with who knows what. And so one of the first things that we did was pull together a group of people who I thought might be interested, who had expressed interest before, and opened the door for others. And from there, we built a name for the group. We have termed ourselves Social Justice, Indigenization, and Inclusion, to be a little bit more specific about the fact that we want not only to make sure that our whole diverse community is included, but that we also are looking to aim for a wider inclusion, to make sure that we are saying we don't just want good care for everyone, we don't just want equitable care, but we want just care. And we don't just want it to include what is only on your cancer journey, but for a person undergoing a cancer journey, how do we make sure that your whole social system is considered as part of that? Indigenization, for those who this term might be new, and why are we specifically including that, is that there are whole different ways of knowing and knowledge systems for Indigenous people. And we wanted to make sure to say that we want to include additional ways of knowing in the work that we're doing, especially in a Canadian context where the First Peoples here and their ways of thinking and ways of knowing can really help to inform and have us grow. And inclusion being the broader principle of making sure everyone has a space in the work we're doing. I am presenting on behalf of the whole group, in particular, Carolyn Way, who is mostly the brains of the operation, if anybody knows her. So please introduce yourself if you have a moment. In terms of our overall objectives, we have lots of projects, we have lots of things going on, but we want to create and curate guidelines for the inclusion of equity deserving groups in the work that ACCESS is doing. We are reviewing all the project proposals that come through, either individually or as a group, to make sure that we adhere to these guidelines. We are building expert councils with equity deserving populations, and we are starting with an Indigenous research circle. Recently, we have changed that name, but making sure that we are including those principles and including those people in the questions that we are asking and in the ways we are conducting the work we're doing. And we want to develop projects that answer the questions being asked by our community as a subsequent step. So far, we've actually been really active. I think you have all intersected with us in some way, but we developed the equity statement for the organization. We've curated some guidelines out of what is already available because we don't intend to reinvent the wheel here. We've surveyed our community for diversity and created some organizational diversity goals. And we delivered the first educational session. So for those who haven't seen it, it will be available to you. You can check it out at any point. Hopefully very soon, it will be on the newly launched website. Underway and ongoing is that we're evaluating all the project submissions. We are creating an organizational data collection tool for race and ethnicity variables. So we've given you some suggestions up to this point, but we're working on something that everyone who is doing this work within ACCESS can have access to. We are building an Indigenous research circle to provide guidance around inclusion and evaluation of Indigenous data. And I'll talk a lot more about that tomorrow in the data session. With future plans to build expert councils with other equity deserving populations and develop projects in conjunction with people with lived experience and our equity deserving community. We have provided a critical resource list for you for those who haven't seen those items. And really, where are we aiming? What are we doing? Why are we here? Well, first, we want to ensure that the work of ACCESS is adherent to Canadian EDI standards, and we want to build a more equitable organization. And then long-term, we want to make sure we meet the needs and priorities of our entire community, that it's not just those of us who are paid to do this work from our offices, from our hospitals. It's including all of those folks who have come here with lived experience and those who haven't, and creating space for those who haven't yet found a space and a voice here. So thank you.